What if I told you that demons, as you may have come to know them, don't really exist? Hi, I'm Egregores. I'm author of Runes for Transformation, founder of Gulgercraft, and something that you may not know about me is I've lived an entire life from childhood to adulthood, dealing with spirits, various astral entities, subtle beings of many different kinds. I lived in a house that was very haunted. I've been attending seances, holding seances since a very young age. It's a common part of my life. It's not one that I've been very open and revealing about, but I'm starting to come out and teach what I have learned over the years. And in this video, we're going to talk about demonic forces and how they manifest. And I know this is going to be a very touchy subject for some of you, and I want you to understand that what I'm presenting here does not come from any dogmatic religion, does not come from any established teaching. This is purely 100% decades of my firsthand experience of working with various beings in different situations for different people, and in my own come to understanding of all of this stuff. So I'm not going to be preaching to you any religious doctrine or any set belief pattern on how to deal with demonic entities. I'm going to teach you my personal first-hand experience, what I've learned, what I've encountered, and how I've dealt with these things. Now, before we get into that, I want to start off with a few controversial statements that are going to challenge some beliefs that you may have and probably have held since childhood. First, horror movies and TV programs are really nothing more than entertainment made by people who are great at storytelling. They know how to build scripts, develop characters, and create amazing special effects that can seem very real. Even the stories they tell almost seem plausible in the context that they're given. Plus, many of these fictional accounts do have some overlapping ideas, which makes the concepts they present even more believable. However, the people that make these movies and TV shows may have really little to no experience with the paranormal. Even if they say the movie is based on real events, these people are telling a great story in an amazing way, based on people, places, situation, but it is all fiction. So the demonic entities, the demons, the activity that they depict is not really representative of what transpires in the real world. In fact, I've had people go into seance situations and dealing with spirits that are used to seeing what they're seeing in TVs and movies and going, wow, this is boring. This isn't anything like what I saw in movies. It's very real. Next, religious organizations like to capitalize on your fear to fill their pews and coffers. And this isn't just limited to Christian and Abrahamic religions. In fact, any religion that tells you that if you do not follow their ways, donate to their cause, and become subservient to their doctrine, lest you face a life of eternal torment or a lifetime of pain and fear, they're manipulating you for their benefit. And of course, the Catholic Church loved the Exorcist movie. It sent people running to them for salvation in droves. And again, The Exorcist was bogus storytelling. I'm not going to get into the details of the actual real case that The Exorcist was based on. The church embraced that movie, not for entertainment, but for power, control, for money, all of those things that run those religious groups, okay? Even if you look to medieval grimoires, a good chunk of the modern occult practice is based on some of these arcane texts, and of course, those religious organizations love to use these ancient texts as reinforcement to their cause. However, these medieval grimoires, they're really just like the horror stories of the day. They were the horror movies of the time. They were written with some horrible ideas by people that really had some outrageous imaginations. And I really hold that a lot of these medieval grimoires are just no different than the horror movies of today. However, these books have almost always been written by Christian clergy with the intent to scare the hell out of people. And from our perspective, with magical workings, the practices and techniques presented in those books, they are thoroughly reprehensible, irresponsible, and flat out malicious. That was the intent of the people who wrote those grimoires. in the first place. In fact, if we look at these books, many of the demons that were named and described, they're pre-Abrahamic deities. They were beloved by ancient cultures, later were demonized by conquering religions and immortalized in dastardly documents as malicious entities. In essence, the demonology used to generate fear in these religious groups, send people to the churches and the movies and theaters, was all based on damned lies. Now, these are lies that were perpetuated in people's homes, personal lives. It led them to believe that they have been possessed, that their home is invaded by evil spirits, or that certain locations serve as portals to hell, enabling the planet to be infested with the worst of all of the demons. Hey, all of this makes great science fiction and fantasy, and it makes for really awesome fear-induced religious fervor, but it's all bullshit. I know, you're going to tell me that you've had personal experience with malevolent entities, or that you know someone who has struggled with such encounters. You know, it's real. Yes, it happens. And you know what? I do believe you. You're right. These experiences can be very real, they're very scary, and they can be very dangerous. However, the solutions to these problems may not really lie in an exorcist coming to damn the demons away, or smudging the hell out of your house with sage, or performing repeated blessings over and over and over and over and over. These actions can make you feel good. They might even work temporarily. But what needs to happen is a permanent shift in your mindset, in your emotional well-being, and your spiritual development. You need to learn how to take charge of your own energetic environment if you want to stop such activity. To that effect, let's look at a few common forms of infestation that are usually mistaken as demonic activity. First up is a thought form. These are small, single-minded entities born of fear, and they perpetuate their existence by sparking negative emotional states in human beings. In essence, you're their food. These things form by a constant buildup of negative emotions in the home where there's no clearing out of the negativity. They basically become a little ball of energy with one single program, with a singular focused mind, to continue their existence by perpetuating its energy state. Now, these things can grow nasty and persistent. Smudging and blessing can clear them out, but if you don't do an emotional shift, they're going to come back. And if you suspect that you have a thought form, just start creating a better energy environment in your home, one that benefits you, and it poisons the thought form. Next, Egregores. These are a little weird, funky term if you're not familiar with it, but this is the most common form of activity that is mistaken as demonic interaction. Egregores are born out of a collective belief from particular cultures. Egregores can actually be very intelligent beings. They're very powerful. They're often mistaken for gods and often believed to be demons. And when you have an interaction with, let's say, a negative egregore, this interaction is always going to be secondary to the energetic and emotional environment of your home. Such as, if you find even an abandoned location with several revenants stuck in a particularly bad trauma, see my video if you want to know more about revenants. I have, dead people, different flavors of dead people. And so, when you've got all of these revenants living in a certain negative energy environment, you could attract an egregore who is in a homogeneous state to that negative energy, and it will do what it can to continue to perpetuate that energetic environment around it. And if you bring an egregore into your home unintentionally, yes, it will do what it can to maintain the energetic environment for its continued sustenance. And it's a lot more intelligent than a thought form, so it can get creative on how it creates the energy for you. And again, if this is happening in your home, you're responsible for the energy environment that you keep. Now, the most common form of demonic infestation is what we're going to call the poltergeist effect. I'm not going to say it's a poltergeist, I'm going to call it a poltergeist effect. This is where there may or may not have been an entity in the house. Usually there is an entity of some kind maybe passing through. But the emotional state of the people or an individual living in that home experiencing that paranormal phenomena will generate energy. Interesting what happens with that energy. This energy can manifest sometimes as physical phenomena, damaging things, throwing things, doors slamming, scratches, bruising, welts forming. All of that's really terrifying. And again, an energetic environment is the cause of this, but it's not the ultimate solution. This is going to take a shift in family dynamics, getting emotional support, especially spiritual development, including psychic training, especially for the individuals. Now, the poltergeist effects come from a person who feels very intensely. They have a great deal of emotions that are locked away inside, and they're very, very sensitive to energy and emotional changes, yet they're not able to fully express their emotions in the ways that they need to. This is often why poltergeist effect happens with teenagers. They're experiencing that myriad of emotions that comes from puberty, and they're dealing with parents that are like, stop it, why don't you act like an adult? And so they're feeling the repression of how they can express themselves, yet they're feeling this flood of emotions coming up, and it has to express it somehow. And if they're very gifted and powerful people that need this emotional outlet, they will find a way. And that way happens with the poltergeist effect. And what really will help this teenager out, or young adult, or any person in general, is learning how to deal with their psychic abilities, how they express their energy. Again, it comes down to changing the energy environment of your home, but this time it comes from psychic development and learning how to take charge of your own inner emotional landscape so that your living space becomes a reflection of who you are internally. Okay, so there we have it, the three different kinds. Thought forms, which are just a simple programmed entity, usually programmed with scare me, hurt me, make me feel angry, so that it gets the energy that it needs to perpetuate itself. An egregore, a collectively created being who will go into certain already charged environments to continue its existence by thriving off of the energy that's created there. And three, the poltergeist effect, which is created by individuals who are exceptional at their energetic abilities, feeling an intense emotion, but cannot express that emotion necessarily in a healthy way. In all of these cases, changing the energy environment that you live in is going to change the type of entities that are living there, and learning psychic abilities, doing some spiritual development will help you along this way. Now, if you found this information useful, please hit like and subscribe. Be aware that this is just the beginning. I know I covered very surface, and you're probably left with a lot of questions. And if you have a lot of questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll start making some videos to help you out with that. And also, please share this video with people that you know who could benefit from it. Because there's a lot of people out there that are dealing with demonic forces and negative entities that may not understand what's going on with them, and you can help them out by pointing them in this direction, and maybe they can get some questions answered for their situation. Thank you.